Good evening to you and welcome to the program. First tonight, the couple whose great Australian dream is about to be shattered. Daryl and Mary Ebert have been in their home for 40 years, and that's despite several multi-million-dollar offers from developers for their land. But as Rodney Lose found out, unlike the classic Aussie film The Castle, the Eberts aren't facing a happy ending.
One of my major concerns with the taking of our land is I call it a blatant waste of taxpayers' money.
Daryl and Mary Ebert know the cliches. The only certainties in life are death and taxes, and you can't stop progress. They just hoped they died before progress had caught up with them.
That's our one sad feeling that we're left with now, that when we want to look elsewhere, we can't find anything to replicate what we've had.
40 years ago, this 14-acre block on the outskirts of town was overgrown and covered in barbed wire. But Mary and Daryl knew it had the potential to be their paradise.
What it means is that we live rather peacefully with our own fruit and vegetables and lovely trees.
Enough room to run Daryl's goats, life was great. But then 5 years ago, it started. Suburbia came calling.
Knocking on our door, sending us letters, coming through agents and so on. I'd say we've had, since about 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17 and again this year 18, have to be 50 to 60 people.
Developers saw the potential for 240 homes on this block, and houses started being built along the fence line. But the Eberts knocked them all back, even when the money started reaching lotto figures of $18 million.
Money's nothing. It's the...
Your kids grew up here.
Totally.
But then they got an offer they couldn't refuse. Not because of the amount of money, but because by law, they couldn't refuse.
Can't refuse, no. Not allowed when a resumption is for a school or a hospital.
The Eberts say the resumption of the land, which will see them kicked out of their home in 6 weeks, is the result of bad planning. Daryl says there was other land around them, but it was more valuable as housing, and other government land is controlled by other departments.
The education department people told us that it was easier for them to take our land than to use the land that they already own.
Even the Eberts' neighbours aren't happy, with a petition to save their farm gathering support.
You're looking at things like infrastructure and how that's not been planned correctly. For a state high school being put in here, the access is going to be through this estate, and that's going to cause a lot of issues for a lot of local residents.
Alana Perrott, who lives in the neighbouring housing estate, says the locals loved visiting Daryl's goats, which had become quite the local attraction.
People were just shocked, you know. I think most Australians don't understand or have never been aware that the government can just come and take what belongs to you, what you've worked all your life for.
Now in their mid-70s, Daryl and Mary have to pack up 40 years in 6 weeks, all the while trying to negotiate with the government a fair price for their small farm.
What do you think this place is worth, if you had to put a figure on it?
The total place, 20 million plus.
Do you think they're going to try and lowball you?
We're doing everything we can to prove to the government that's the real value.
How can you put a value on serenity?
We had a koala in this tree up here last night, possum, kangaroo, we've got turkeys, wild turkeys, scrub turkeys run around here.
And our calls to the local member who proudly posed for photos following the announcement the Eberts' home would be bulldozed for the school have gone unanswered.
They could have picked anywhere they wanted prior to all this development happening. You know, they've waited and now they've just taken it from the guy that can't fight it.
I don't hope that we're not going to be placed in a situation where they are going to try to push us off the land and then have us fight for what we think is what we can establish as true value.
You hope they play
a fair game.
Do you think they will? What you've seen so far?
I have my doubts.